was that Adam which is known to be the common ancestor of Judaism, Christianity and Islam. Regarding other prophets of God, there is a revelation, there is a tradition of Hadhrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam which speaks of many such Adams. In Futuhat Makkiyah, a very deep scholarly book of immense value written by Hadhrat Ibn Arabi, who was one of the greatest thinkers of the entire Islamic world, and a very holy man for that matter too. Not only a thinker, but a very holy man and a very deep philosopher. He writes about this. He says that once I saw in a vision that I was making circuits around Khana Kaaba, and I saw some creatures who looked like aliens, who did not seem to belong to human race, also doing circuits around Khana Kaaba. So they were singing some Arabic verses which meant now you are making circuits kama tufna, like we used to do it long ago. So Hazrat Ibn Arabi in that kashf, that in vision, asked him, what do you mean by long ago? Are you talking of Adam's time? That Adam also used to make circuits of Khana Kaaba? In response, he said, what do you mean by Adam? Which Adam are you talking about? Your Adam is different, my Adam was different, we refer to a different Adam. So Hazrat Ibn Arabi asked him, when was your Adam born? He said, 40,000 years ago. So your Adam is a small child as compared to our Adam. So Ibn Arabi writes that reminded me of a tradition of Hadhrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam which speaks that 100,000 Adams were created in this world. So that does not mean that we should start working backward from this known Adam of 6,000 years ago and calculate it to be beyond, many millions of years. It is very possible, even probable, that not only one Adam, but many Adams were created simultaneously in different parts of the world. Because it is not possible for the man of that time to be in communication with other parts of the world. So either we have to believe that one Adam was created and the rest of the world was left to total ignorance and darkness, or if there is a caring God, we have to believe that for them other Adams were created. Why this Adam was specifically mentioned in the Quran is simply because on the tree which began from him was to be created that final fruit which was the best of the prophets. So this was the tree whose record had to be kept. The other trees which came to earlier ends and were not to continue forever, they were left behind in history, like biological history of evolution tells us that some trees came to an end here, some came to an end there, and one tree which is still not yet fully traced by scientists is that which bore the fruit of man. So all the scientists which are interested in which they are really interested in is to find ancestry of mankind and trace it back to the earliest stages. But that is not the whole story. There are hundreds of thousands of other species which are not in direct line of this, but which had separate simultaneous lines and which ended up here or there, or ended up in a completely different type of creation. So that is my understanding of this tradition of creation of many Adams. I believe that religious phenomenon started much earlier, in fact, and also very widely spread. It was very widely spread. Now again I remind you of the Aborigines of Australia. Aborigines of Australia have a civilization of 40,000 years ago. So is it just a coincidence or an accident that Hadhrat Ibn Arabi was shown in that dream that the person who met him said our Adam was created 40,000 years ago? And we know one species of, one type of human beings positively about whom scientists have established this fact that their civilization is 40,000 years old, and who speak also of revelation of God, but not revelation, verbal revelation like we know, but an earlier type of revelation, that is dream. And through dreams, they still believe God speaks to man and delivers his messages. So when I went to Australia, I investigated into all this. So it all ultimately connects the whole story. And that is why I am more convinced than ever before that one Adam was not all the story about the creation of man or creation of religion. There were so many innumerable Adams born at different ages, in different countries, at different times. And the central message was the same, of course, that I am God, worship me, and be nice to human beings. But the details, of course, varied. Yes.
There's also some which according to how they talk of Adam.
Pardon?
So there's something which beats my imagination now about Adam. Right, now we know, or now I know that there were many Adams before the Adam I know.
Yes.
Right, so, and the Adam I know has 2 children.
How do you know?
What? According to what I've read, Cain and then Abel.
No, but there may be others.
There may be
Only
others.
you have read about these 2 because they quarreled with each other.
Yeah.
And the sacrifice of one was accepted by God and the other was rejected, and one killed the other one. So ultimately there was one left, who was the villain. You see, that is the problem.
Right. And
are we all the offsprings of a villain?
Right, and according to the story, to the disobedient one for his punishment.
Fine?
For the punishment of the disobedience,
Yes.
his offspring were made black.
No, nobody says that. It's all somebody is just feeding you with all this rubbish, and you are accepting it without raising your eyebrows. I'm surprised. It's all false. Moreover, as I have already told you, the blacks were born much earlier than other species of human beings. And the scientists believe that it was a black mother who gave birth to the entire humanity. So we should be proud of that. Okay?
In this case,
Very interesting. Yes, please.
in this case, they should make it known so that people will be surprised about the birth of Jesus Christ.
About what?
About the birth.
Birth of Jesus Christ?
Jesus Christ, yes. If it was a woman who was originally, who just first came to the world, or God created a woman for the first time on earth.
No, but she was not a virgin. That woman was not a virgin. that woman had developed enough